Alright guys, welcome back to our tier list video, and today we're going to cover, of course, the next tier in the series, which is the middle tier. Characters between middle tier and upper mid tier could, within meta ships, fluctuate a bit more, but mid tier characters won't have as much representation and not nearly as heavily developed metas. Mid tiers see a lot of representation from up high players that secondary them, or some regional standout players. So a lot of times you'll see like some secret bosses in regions that main these players and have actually a decent bit of success with them. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Donkey Kong is the first character on our mid-tier list. We've seen a lot more use out of DK in the quarantine with increasing success, but it's something we probably won't see too much of back in person. Counting online results alone with usage statistics would probably justify higher, but it's unlikely to stick. DK actually has gotten 2 local wins recently, but the character will find more usage as a secondary. So, again, DK, a lot of strength. The top players for DK, especially online. I know Chunky plays DK really well amongst some other players, but, you know, this character in the right hands can do a devastating amount of damage, can kill super quickly, and actually have really crazy combo strings on a lot of characters. But we still have yet to see some offline results. So for now, middle tier is a pretty fair placement for him. Mii Brawler, which was buffed in patch 12.0. Mii Brawler is a solid character with good frame data. I saw a lot of top players actually were considering putting Mii Brawler even in high tier, I saw. But for me, Mii Brawler remains in the middle tier. Very run-of-the-mill character. Reminds me of Mario in some cases, but packs a bigger punch, sort of. Has that weirdness factor, which could carry them in a lot of ways. I think the problem with Mii Brawler is that it needs more usage across the board. You have players sparingly using Mii Brawler with whatever moves that they choose, and it's really hard to get a consistent idea of how the character can, you know, truly perform in a setting. And that's why also in middle tier I have Mii Swordfighter, who also was buffed in patch 12.0. Mii Swordfighter, again, nothing has really changed since before. No one notable has made any waves with them, except for one minor recent win. But Mii Swordfighter still does have strong kill conversions and tactics, but no one really seems to want to play the character. One of the lesser used characters, especially the Miis, and, you know, we're waiting to see what happens, but Mii Swordfighter, you know, has really powerful up air, has good zoning game with the projectiles, the neutral B tornado, and that ring that Swordfighter tosses. In tandem with good recoveries and, you know, sort of spacing out your aerials, you could get some pretty decent wins, but we need to see more usage out of Swordfighter and Brawler, I feel. But out of the three Miis, Brawler, Swordfighter, and Gunner, I think the first one to get like a top 8 result at a big tournament is going to be a Mii Brawler. You heard it here first. Also, middle tier, we have Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt, to me, is the weirdest character in this entire game. Plays like nobody else, uses a can which you like remote control using the neutral B button as you're playing the game. Also has a clay disc that they throw and a gunman, a gangster, they put down to shoot and give a barrage of projectiles while they have a floating nature to them and while they try to kill you with really high, you know, ranged smash attacks and some pretty pesky aerials. But we haven't seen much out of Duck Hunt recently. I think with Japan returning to bigger offline events, we'll get to see how soon the character can perform under the new meta. So, hoping someone from Japan can really push his character to the absolute limits. In low tier, we have might be my personal favorite character in the game, just to watch me, and that's King K Rool. We've seen so much of this character recently, thanks to online. Again, it is online. But we've seen more potential of what they can actually do. The character has also gotten some great buffs in the last year, and we see that coming more often into play. Especially the biggest buff, in my opinion, was the fact that the crown throw can tank more damage, acts like more of an armor move. And the person, to me, carrying this character across the entire board is Kirby Kid, Louisiana's finest. He managed to take a pretty big offline event recently, and definitely watch that video if you haven't, because it's some of the most entertaining play you'll watch. So yeah, Kirby Kid, one of the pillars of Southeast Ultimate, and hopefully someone else also picks up the pace here with this character, so we can see more development apart from just one person. Following in low tier would be Kirby. There's no changes recently either for Kirby, but J-Jaw really has been tearing it online with some really solid results. J-Jaw did win one offline event, which could be a sign of things to come. But basically, if you watch this character, you notice Kirby, you know, really good combo game, good recovery, I feel, can kill you pretty quickly. That up smash and forward smash are deceptively strong, as well as Kirby's back air. amongst other moves. And if you get one grab on you, it can lead to like a 0 to 50 chain or even more, depending on how you DI. And a player like J-Ja, you know, really shows the potential of this character. So I'm excited to see what happens. I feel like Kirby hasn't been complete dog shit since Melee. And even in like Brawl, Smash 4, Ultimate, if you're smart enough, you can make things happen. And if you know how to use your character's copy ability, you can be even more creative. So I'm looking forward to see what happens. In the same universe, but also in low tier, is King Dedede. Obviously, we got to see Atomisk at Summit, who managed to beat Dark Wizzy, who was considered by many to be the best Mario up until recently, I suppose. Maybe might be considered Kurama or Prodigy now. But we did get to see Atomisk take a set off someone who's considered a very prominent player. But I would say this is the same, you know, notes I have for K Rool, honestly. The recent buffs really helped make his Gordos more consistent and his buffs that he desperately needed. But this still is King Dedede. It's a war of attrition. You have to really bleed out your character. You have to throw Gordos a lot. You have to, you know, somehow maneuver Dedede's big body to not get comboed to hell. You have to use that recovery wisely, because once you commit to it, you kind of got to finish it through all the way. But of course, strong back air, really strong forward air, which got buffed. Up air, which got buffed. He can kill very, very early, but a character that can combo heavies really well is his worst nightmare. So my prayers go out to Dedede players, because it's looking rougher and rougher out there. But hopefully we'll see Atomisk and other players make more results. Also in low tier, it feels weird saying this, but Marth. Marth got buffed in patch 12.0, but there's no changes here. It's just very, very few people are using him with Lucina present. There's no reason almost to use Marth at all with Lucina there. You know, generally speaking, in how the game works, sword users with decent frame data will almost always be at least mid-tier, but the fact that no one is pushing this character anywhere at all means he has no results, and which means he's, you know, in my opinion, a low-tier character. I mean, if he was worth using, more people would, but because he isn't, that kind of speaks for itself. So Marth, low tier. Also in low tier, another character which has fallen from grace from his earlier heyday would be Meta Knight. Meta Knight has no changes in this patch. The thing with Meta Knight is that he really does have potential, but not much proof of it outside of various smaller results. You know, Meta Knight, great recovery and multiple jumps. You still have up air strings, which lead into a shuttle loop, which can kill very, very early. You can sort of pressure people off stage. Decent speed, decent aerials. But, you know, they really, really toned him down so greatly from the monster he used to be, and that comes at a price. So in this case, I do consider him a middle tier character. Oh, editors, I've been saying low tier for the past like 4 characters. Put this explanation in there. Viewers, I fucked up, I'm sorry. These are all middle tier characters. All middle tier. Probably to no one's surprise, another character in middle tier will be Villager, whereas Isabelle is in low tier, Villager's in middle tier. The reason for that is that Villager can play super safe. He doesn't really have a truly threatening game plan. Of course, the really scary thing about Villager is probably the forward smash bowling ball, the up smash fireworks, and the tree, which you can cut down. You know, most advantages from Villager usually come in mistakes from an opponent's play, and he's a punished character. So you play well, it's really hard for Villager to do things with. I think proper Villager meta will be utilizing Pocket in really creative ways. But in general, he suffers from a lot of flaws. So, Villager in middle tier, slightly better than Isabelle. Zelda is another character I would also put in middle tier. We've seen a lot more Zelda in online play, and that's where results popping up. But it's kind of hard to punish a good amount of her moves online. But back offline in high levels of play, I doubt we'll see too much of a difference, even despite her buff in patch 10. But she has won 2 events recently, and we've seen Ven do, you know, pretty well at events previously. So Ven pretty much carrying the torch for Zelda, at least in NA. And I have no doubt if he's able to, you know, win regionals and do what he does, like he won that pretty decent sized regional in Arizona, I believe, over base mage. If he's able to do what he does with the character, it should at some point translate to offline. He just have to keep, you know, in fact, mind that you don't have that input delay advantage like you used to. So gotta be even more on your feet, you know. So I think middle tier is a pretty, you know, safe spot for Zelda to be. Bowser Jr., the really cool thing about Bowser Jr. is, you know, we recently got to see the potential of this character thanks to a man by the name of Ketchup, who had an incredible run at MSM 240, which was the Ultimate Summit 3 Last Chance qualifier. Ketchup went on an insane run. I believe he got 9th place out of like 200 or 300 people, and it ended up beating Light also. So just a miraculous run for him, went all the way, and it was just really, really good. So yeah, it was definitely awesome. In middle tier, we also do have Simon and Richter. Dom in Mega Smash Mondays in SoCal has really been pushing this character to its absolute limit. Theoretically, they could continue to go up after their buffs with more music online. Simon and Richter can hard counter those that can't deal with their zoning and lose everywhere else pretty much. But, you know, like I said, thanks to Dom, it showed that some tough matchups really are possible with enough patience and clever usage. And I call them Dom combos, sort of when he's able to get the Grand Cross and projectiles to position the characters in the air, and they can then whip them and get a stock. So it's really cool to see. In middle tier, I also have Corrin, which is one of the least used characters in Ultimate Data. Corrin's actually a really strong character with tricky setups, but the issue is Corrin does struggle a bit in recovery and creating solid openings in neutral. Corrin teeters between mid and upper mid, and with Cosmos now basically on the full Pyramithra train for good reason, we may see less interest in the character. And at this point, anyone who's playing Corrin, just try Pyramithra, you'll probably like them a lot more, and you'll realize, wow, Pyramithra are fucking busted. And that's probably why I want to use them. Also in middle tier, we have Pit and Dark Pit. I consider them the absolute middle of the middlest of the middle line. Pit and Dark Pit have no big balance changes, and they also have no big results changes. They're a pretty run-of-the-mill generic good character, and more people are starting to secondary them because they're easy to pick up. Deceptively strong forward smash, multiple jumps, got a projectile. A good character to pick up also just as a beginner. So it would be cool to see one Pit or Dark Pit player to really make things happen. One of the ones that comes to mind is, I believe his name was Earth, but I think that was back in the Brawl days. But, you know, we'll see. If it's a middle tier character, miracles can happen. Well, we have Byleth also in middle tier. Byleth got huge buffs before, but the thing is, Leo literally carries this character to whatever position he wants to. He believes in Byleth, and so for that reason, we've seen the potential. So I have no doubt that Byleth could actually move up soon, but if it's literally Leo and like no one else, it might just be a really sick middle tier character that he happens to play. So MK Leo, Byleth's position is in your hands as far as I can tell. So yeah guys, that was the middle tier of the list. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next time with the next part of this video, the upper mid tier. These are the characters that can start back in a good punch. Thanks guys.